everyone. We are back, and only two of us for now, but we are ready to talk about the horror genre. This is Gaia, and
And
I'm still the one who was accused to be possessed. And yes, I'm still here.
and this is Zoe. This is the one that watches far too many movies and obsesses over them. But yeah, doing well. Looking forward to reviewing some more horrors.
And we decided to start with the movie Veronica, a Spanish horror movie based on a true story. I will try to analyze the movie, talking about the script aspects of the movie and some curiosities I picked up while watching.
And I'm basically going to try analysing it with my studies knowledge and my eye for cinema and what I liked about the film.
Okay, let's start with a little bit of a technical detail. The movie is the perfect example of a circular narration. It's it beginning it begins with the end of the movie, and then at some point the the circle will close because we will start to see the real end exactly from where we left the movie in the beginning. The first sequence is in truth the end of the movie or almost the end of the movie, but then we are pushed back at the beginning of the action.
Yes. I do like a film that starts with it's a very good way of getting you hooked on the story by showing you kind of the ending, but not the full ending. So you kind of get the, oh my goodness, what is going on? And then it does the 3 days earlier. So you've got the meat right after the hook. And then you kind of go, okay, so we know something terrible is happening. Now I wonder how it's all going to fall into place to get to that point in the story.
We can say without fear of being called crazy that the movie is a good movie, but like every horror movie ever made in any country in the world, it has its cliche. Like, for example, what's the best way to spend your free time in a Catholic school if not playing around with a Ouija board? Yes, we still have one. Our old friend, the Ouija board. And we know some shit is going to happen. Come on, we know it.
Nothing ever good happened from playing with a Ouija board. I still don't get we're bored and we're rebelling. Do you know what would be fun? A Ouija board. Although I did find it really weird how they were able to buy a Ouija board off a newsstand. So it was just like a free Ouija board that came with like a magazine subscription that she bought from a newsstand. And I was like, you could just buy Ouija boards on the street?
Yes,
Oh my goodness,
yes,
Spain.
that's crazy. But we had in Italy, we had the same publication that they are showing in the movie in the 90s. You really could buy a Ouija board in the streets, like
Oh
you would, give me the New York Times, Le Monde, El País, and oh yes, give me the Ouija board too, because I really am going to use it, knowing that nothing bad is going to happen. And the seller would look at you and say, "Aha, yeah, yeah, you know what? I'm curious about this," because usually sellers knows that shit is going to hit the fan, and they probably have fun just knowing that while you buy your Ouija board, like
yeah,
it's okay,
cool.
I want apples today, and then the newspaper, and then the Ouija board, and then blah 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 blah.
So Oh dear, it definitely wasn't available in the UK. I think it was banned, that particular publication, because it was seen as demonic or satanic, being like, good old Christian country, which is weird because obviously to me, Spain is very Catholic, yet there's a magazine about paranormal investigations, which we do have, but we didn't have anyone that was like, you could buy the Ouija board off. So weird.
Yeah, very weird. Absolutely very weird. And you know what? We should be the most Catholic country of them all because we have the Vatican in Rome, basically, and we still could buy the Ouija board. And now I'm wondering why the hell I never did it. Probably because my mom would have killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was probably the reason why I didn't do it. Hmm. My mom was smart. I wasn't, but my mom was smart. Oh well, good to know at least someone in the family was. Okay, back to the movie. I think I can talk about some little details that I picked up here and there in the movie, and all of them are based on ancient Greek mythology. Let's start with one of my favorite character in the movie, Sister Death. Sister Death is an amazing character, and she is based on every seers ever described in history and literature. Because we have examples like Tiresia and Calcante, or Calcas in English, and the only seer who wasn't blind was Cassandra, but Cassandra was cursed by Apollo. So Cassandra could see the future, but she would never be believed, but she kept her sight. Calcas and Tiresia, they were blind because only blind people, only when you can't see the physical world, you can see the spiritual one and you can talk to God. And Sister Death is exactly that. She is the one who can see the spirit, the demon Veronica brought on this planet or this plane in her attempt of speaking with her dead father. But she also is the one who tells us what's going to happen to Veronica, because the answer is in the books, and you have to do right what you did wrong. And at some point, all of that will end up with Veronica's sacrifice, of course, because there is no other way. Um, it's tragic in many ways how this young girl is described in the movie, because horror genre, it's used since the beginning to talk about things that are hard to accept and things that are a little bit too much to talk about in other genre of movies that are more exposed to censorship. So we can see how something based on a true story that talk about demonic possession is also a way we have to talk about bullism and something so very painful that happened probably to all of us, going through teenager years and losing friendships when someone cooler entered the picture. And third, how Veronica is a 15 years old who is forced to be a mother for 3 young children. So somehow we can also say the movie is used to stigmatize young people having children. because when you are a child yourself, you are probably not ready to be a mother.
Yes, I mean, I definitely agree with all the ideas of like the movie running alongside like the horror. The best way horror comes about is when it's rooted in like a real structure that actually is in itself kind of scary and intimidating. So the fact that because her mother is working, she is the one that is acting as the mother figure in the house. So, and that's a lot of pressure on a young girl who's also trying to navigate kind of her own feelings, go through her own like movements, navigate friendships and schools, and so like there's a lot of pressure on her, and that pressure can break someone, or in this film's case this pressure can lead to a possession because you stop being yourself as all that weight is on you. I mean, there's so many different aspects of it. Like, she doesn't have her period yet. So she herself doesn't feel ready to be an adult, but she has been forced to be an adult. So it isn't until she finally comes to terms with the fact that she does accept like responsibility and love her siblings and want to help them that she finally kind of gets the period. But still at the same time, it's like it's forcing an awakening. They use the period very much as like a metaphor of awakening and being that next stage of your life. And she was so innocent to start with, and then she kind of like slowly, bit by bit, all that innocence is being lost. And as you say, with the blindness, she can see and feel what's coming, but no one believes her. And she's trapped in this modern world where people go, you're only seeing these things because you're under so much pressure. The only reason you think there's ghosts in your house or like that something's wrong is because of the weight that you're carrying you is leading you to an early like mental breakdown. And obviously a lot of stress in the body stops biological changes. So she hasn't got her period because she's like too innocent and stuff. And as the stress builds up, her body's like, I can't cope. And then period starts because like she's just totally out of whack with everything.
And we have to remember that being out of period, it means you are still innocent. Then she got possessed, she got her period, but in many religions and in many cultures, to have the period, it also means to become impure. Let's remember that women on their period were banned from temples and churches because they were impure.
Yes.
And possession is nothing if not to be impure, because you let something dark inside you and this thing is staining you. So you have to stay away from the community, otherwise, you are going to pollute them too. And that's exactly what we see happening in the movie. But also, she is dealing with this spirit, she is dealing with this demon who is leaving marks on her. So she has proofs there is someone with her, but no one is believing her. So she is dealing with the demon, with not being believed when she try to talk to someone. There is this heartbreaking scene in which she keeps saying mom, 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 and the mother keeps working and she's not paying attention to her at all. We see a little bit of attention is given to the younger kids, but never to Veronica until it is too late.
Yeah. Veronica is like, she is crying out for attention and motherly support. She's still too young to like to not want the mother when things are going on, but she doesn't have that. And obviously, like with the death of her father, she's completely lost her parental support and guidance and is feeling without love, which is just exactly the time which opens yourself up to something else to come in, because a demon possessing you is something else is filling that void, that aching space that is crying for attention and someone to be a part of you. And unfortunately, Ouija boards and solar eclipses are just not a good match for inviting non-parental figures into your life.
Not only that, when we see the eclipse, we see how it represents. It looks like a pupil. It looks like an eye. So we know that the eyes are a mirror on the soul. So the eyes are a way into the soul. And it's obvious the whole movie is told by metaphors, like sister that tells Veronica. So, of course, the eclipse is the metaphor for for a moment in which darkness overpowered the light, and something bad is going to happen. There is no doubt about that, and we know what is going to happen.
I like it when she's at the projector and and the screenshot of what an eclipse is going to look like is on her chest, and it's almost like it's this light ring around. It's like it's highlighting the emptiness inside her, and I liked that metaphor, like this, like she's empty inside, and the thing is just pinpointing like this is a girl that has lost something, and there is a darkness inside her.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with this, and is perfect. Is a perfect metaphor, and it's also on a script, on the script point of view. The movie is very linear, so you know exactly when something is going to happen. So we see the moment, we see the beginning, of course, then we see the first plot twist, then we go with Veronica through the middle of the movie, then we move to the second plot twist, and then we see exactly the moment in which we know there is no return. The point of no return is when Veronica changed her clothes. For the first part of the movie, she is dressed like the perfect Catholic schoolgirl. She has her uniform. She keeps it clean. When we first see the effect on of the demon on Veronica, when she's trying to hit the meatball and she can't, so she stains her shirt with the sauce of the meatball, but then she runs to clean it, and then she got a period. She changed her dresses. She dressed in black. She becomes the typical 90s goth girl who is problematic, and she shows it dressing in black, and we know that's the point of no return. A little bit later, we learn what she whispered to Rosa at the beginning when they were in the basement, and we learn why Rosa is so afraid now, why she broke their friendship. She doesn't want to, but yeah, there is the cooler girl. So, yeah, Veronica becomes expendable, above all because Rosa is terrified by her now. And then, yeah, you know what? The bad thing happened. And we go right through the end of the movie. We only are left with 20 minutes narration, more or less. And in those 20 minutes, everything happens, everything is explained. And we are like, oh my God, really? That was it? Yes, it was. So it's very linear. You can follow it. And yeah, for once in an horror movie, we can't see plot holes. Everything is perfectly explained. You are not dubbed. You are not asking questions, or perhaps only one. In the end,
Yeah.
you have to wonder what happened to the demon.
Yes. No, it's yeah, it does definitely. It goes from A to B very soundly, and it doesn't like so many like horror films kind of put like fake twists or tangents in it that you're like, oh, but what about this? This one really has like a concise story. It knows where it's going, and also it is scary. It has some wonderfully creepy effects, and it doesn't go all CGI monster. I love it when films keep it simple. I love it when they are not like there's a CGI monster and all this stuff going on, and it's literally like there's a shadow that goes across the bit when the hand is coming over like the younger siblings like bed, and you're like, there is something there, it's something, and then obviously Veronica's own fears that her siblings are going to start fearing her because other people have started ignoring her. And then an added thing is like she does not want like the younger ones to start ignoring her or fearing her, but that's exactly what they start doing because they're like, Veronica, like, why did you try and strangle me? And it's like, no, I was protecting you. But she's starting to like crack at the seams and starting to lose that. Was she protecting them, or was she actually trying to harm them? And then she's trying to research talismans, and the talismans aren't working. And I know I'm jumping slightly towards the end, but I still remember my uh-oh moment when the brother's drawing the crayons in the walls, and then he goes, I'm bored of this picture, and turns over to the other picture of like, ooh, circle to summon a demon. I'm going to draw this one instead. I was like, oh, lady, you should have just given him a picture to copy. Don't give him the entire book of ancient sigils. I was like, oh no, oh God, no.
Above all, because he doesn't know how to read. So why you picked up the only one who didn't know how to read to do something that was so very important? So yeah, in that moment, I was like, oh my God, girl, okay, I know the director needed a way to open the door
Yeah.
and to let the demon in a way that Veronica cannot control him anymore. But really,
Yes.
come on.
I was like, oh, you're not being very smart in this scene. But as you said, it leaves no interpretation. It follows onto that. Like, yes, they're trying to protect, they're trying to use things. And then this is a very logical way of how the demon gets so strong at the end, because they literally put a summoning circle on the wall and go, ha ha, let's let the demon in fully.
Exactly. And then we learn something very elementary, in truth. Okay, never play with the Ouija board. And if you really, really, really want to play with it, please say goodbye. Don't be rude, because we know what happens to the rude. So,
Yes. I think before playing with a Ouija board, read the entire instruction book, because they didn't. They were just like, "Yay, let's play!" And you're like, if they read it properly, it says, "And we need to say goodbye now." Then they could have put the spirit back in the box, and then yeah, we could have saved themselves a lot of like demonic possession. So yeah, gotta learn these things.
yeah. Another thing we should really do if we really want to read about the Ouija board. Read the whole book and then throw away everything.
Yeah.
That would be probably the smart thing to do,
Yes.
because you know what is always going to cause you drama and possibly your death. But come on,
Yeah.
I mean,
I do think you should also maybe salt and burn it. That always seems to work. Salt and burn it. You know.
yeah, we can take a moment to to listen to the Winchester's brother and really
Yeah.
salt and burn everything, possibly even the school. At that point, you want to salt and burn even the whole school, because you never know.
Yeah,
Just to
exactly.
be safe, just to be safe.
I do think these schools need to not have like scary basements. Maybe like if you didn't have a scary basement for people, it's like why? So I think we're bored at school. There's an amazing. Why would you not want to go and watch the eclipse? No, we're going to go to the old abandoned basement to play on a Ouija board. Oh well.
Yes,
I was like,
yes. That's so smart. That's really so smart. And I was like, okay, you know what? In my high school, we had a basement that wasn't that scary, but Um, my school was very old, and we had the former biology lab in the basement. Don't ask me why you wanted to have your biology lab in the basement. And do you know those vases full of creepy things
Oh, the
like
formaldehyde jugs,
yeah,
that
yeah,
preserving
those,
creeper
yeah,
stuff. Yeah, eyeballs and
yeah,
frogs. Yeah.
exactly. In our basement, there was a fetus too in one
Oh,
of those
grim.
vases. And I was like, that's why I don't like science.
No,
That's why I don't like science. Come on. No.
gross.
But
No,
yeah,
it's gross.
yeah, I think honestly, you don't need a basement in a school.
And if you've got one, maybe just put a lock on it, a chain, something that teenagers can't just sneak down to, contact the
Yeah.
dead.
Because the best thing that can happen if you leave teenagers free to go into a basement is that they are going to use it as a smoking room.
Yep.
And that's the less of your problems because then, someone can have the great idea to play with Ouija board during an eclipse and then, bam,
Yep.
that's what happened.
Oh dear. They are, yeah. They weren't smart. But the film was smart. The film at least was like, yeah, they were being dumb teenagers, but we wouldn't have had a good film if they hadn't have been dumb teenagers. Filled with all its like just like nuances, and it's like setting the seeds, and it's cinematography. It has some really nice like focusing shots. Like I like the fact that to go to sleep she lies on the bed and she's like to focus on like the moon and stuff, and to count back, but it's almost like she's hypnotizing herself. And it's like, and then she goes, and it's not like she falls asleep, she just kind of blacks out and wakes up again. And you think, what happens at that moment when she blacks out? Like, is that when something else gets in there? Because you're not really, you're hypnotizing yourself to go to sleep. You're trying to work out what's going on. It's like, oh, this is good. And there's other points, just really good, like cinematography, like the way they kind of film it when she gets out of the bed, and that like they film it so it's like looks like one movement, so it looks really unnatural. So she just kind of goes swish, and you're like, oh, this gives it that weird edge of something very unnatural is happening here.
Yeah, totally true. And another mm, little detail that was very good shooted was when when we see the sky from the court, the internal court of our house, and we raise our eyes to the sky, and the buildings around the house, they form a cross. But while the camera is slowly turning, we see the cross becoming an upside down one, and you are like, okay,
Oh
this
dear.
is not good.
Yeah.
But I think that was genius.
Yes. Some really amazing like cinematography, and also it's good at like blending like her dreams and stuff, like when it's like I mean, they're more like night terrors because they're like, oh, this must be awake, and then it just kind of goes completely. Ah, I'm being eaten by my siblings, and like my mum is coming to get me, and oh my goodness, and it's like, yeah, it ramps up very well. They're good dream sequences.
Yeah, very good. And I like how the movie is basically a women movie
Mm.
because we have a main female character, we have two two sisters, we have the mother, and then we have Antonio, the little boy, the one we don't really pay attention to, but he is the one who tells us something that we are going to understand only at the end of the movie. It wasn't you who did it.
Oh.
And then when you finish to watch the movie and you are close to the end and you are ready, are starting to understand, and there is something strange in what is happening, you think back to what Antonio said, and you are like, wait a moment. what the hell is going on here? Are we sure that the demon is really outside Veronica and not already inside her, pushing her to do things that she doesn't want to do? But, and of course,
Yeah.
now we are going straight to the end of the movie, and I want to know what Zoe thinks about it.
Oh, I wanted to say before we go towards the end of the movie, I want to discuss the bit when she is researching and the filming of that when she's walking across the pages of the book. And I thought it's kind of a juxtaposition in style so badly because obviously it kind of was like yeah, it was like, oh, this is like a really like different, and I hadn't seen something like that, especially not in a horror film. It's like, and it's very rarely done, but it's like it's such an exciting way to get information across and the urgency. And it's like, because normally it's without having to do exposition, without having to show. Normally they just show you the book, but they're trying to show you like there isn't time to sit and read this book. She's gotta get to the next page and absorb the information from the book, but also let us know what's in the book. So she walks across the symbols that she'll need for later and the information about the ritual and stuff. And it's just like, this is so well done. This is just it's like really has a sense of urgency and really kind of portrays everything you need to know in a very small amount of time to how to solve the rest of like the problems. Although it does go horribly wrong because by the time she gets to go find her friend and stuff, they're like, no, we are not coming with you. We are not going to help you end the ritual. We are literally leaving you to get a bit screwed over here.
Not only that, but that's the embodiment of what Sister Death told her. The answer is in the books. But she is so focused on learning from the book that she becomes one with the books itself. And it also means she is slowly becoming one with the demon.
Yes. So good.
And yeah, that was very well done. And also the moment she realizes she is alone. She was always alone, but in that moment when Rosa rejects her,
Yeah.
and we learn what is probably going to happen, yeah,
Yes. And
she,
when yeah, the bit when she's like devastated, and then all the people in the background are moving backwards, so it just shows like she just feels like so out of place and out of touch with everybody else because she's trying to move forward, but everyone else is, and she doesn't know how to face herself or what's happening to her. That scene's really good. And then it's like when her other self turns around to face her, she faces away from that. So it's like she doesn't know whether she's coming or going. Is she possessed by the demon? Is the demon what she's going to face? Is the demon facing her? Is she facing a demon? It's like it's just such a small like scene, but it just feels like the world is off kilter and she doesn't know where to turn.
yeah, yeah. And at the end, the only entity that never left her alone is the demon itself. And that's why demonic possession is so tricky, because she was so alone that at some point she had to let him in just to feel the emptiness left from her father's death, Rosa's betrayal, her mother's absence. So at the end, the demon almost looks like it's not so bad after all.
Yeah. She's just such an epically lonely and out of place. She's not a teenager, but she is a teenager. She's not a mother yet, but she's acting like a mother. And she's just yeah, she's been rejected from everyone else that can help her. And yeah, even by the end when she's like wanting to face off against like herself and think like this is the way that like it's just like she can't. It's got its hooks in her. It's literally following her.
Yeah. And at some point, when you follow someone and you become so close with that person, there is a moment in which two people become one.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens when we see the end of the movie. We know, we learn what Antonio already told us.
Yeah. And is that, I think the bit, like, it's the bit when she finds the brother in the cupboard, and she's given that previous speech about, like, unless it's me, don't go with them, don't believe with them, if they, like, just don't listen, and it only has to be me, and listen to me. And then she finds him, and she's going, it's me, I'm here, and he's just totally ignoring her because he knows it's not her. She's now so far gone. She's so far possessed that that's not her anymore. She's oh, that bit is like, oh, you're totally been possessed. There is no way out. You've lost this fight. And the thing that's we've been following around is the demon in your body, and you were left long ago. That part of you's gone now. And yeah,
And in the end, she becomes really a mother because she sacrificed herself to save her siblings. And that's exactly something that a mother will do.
yeah, yeah. She makes the ultimate like sacrifice in the end. It's the only way to get out of it. And also, I mean, I liked that kind of ending because it's so not Hollywood. Hollywood would have found a way for her to have saved the day and fight the demon and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, no, she and the demon have literally switched places. And it's the remains of what's inside her, as much as she's been lost and left behind and confused, wants to take something back. And the only way to do that is to kill the body. And you just,
Or
yeah.
in or in an Hollywood movie, she would have been saved by her boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah, power of love or something. Or the detective would have got there in time and somehow knew how to do an exorcism or something like really random. They would have made such a bigger deal over him. And instead,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And he would have became a father figure, and
Oh,
he
God,
would have
yes.
probably married the mother and formed a little happy family with all of them. And that would have been like the
Yeah.
the easy way to ruin a very good movie.
Yes. But no, instead, she allows the demon to fully take her body so that she can destroy the body, and with it, the demon loses its vessel.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we know at that point that's the only way to stop the demon.
Yeah. Ah, it's so good.
Yeah, it was a really good movie, and we hope you enjoyed our explanation and our little chit chat
Yes.
about it.
And then the last thing I'm going to add is I got a certain little vibe from it, and I'm intrigued to know if you did. Like, there's a couple of times that she looks out of her window to a woman or a girl across the street, and it's longing and it's so soft focus, and I'm like, is there also like this little tone of her thinking about her sexuality, and it also being another metaphor for her feeling out of touch with society and out of place, because she doesn't look at a single boy in this series. She doesn't, but she definitely wants to keep that closeness with her friend. And there's a longing when she looks at the person across the way. And then later you see the person across the way kind of romantic with somebody else and stuff, and there's that look of like, I want to be in that situation. And there's such tiny scenes, but I was like, could she be coming to terms with her own sexuality? And obviously, that's another thing horror movies use as a source of fear, to kind of come to terms with, like, oh, I'm willingly choosing a sexuality that's going to get me ostracized, or people aren't going to accept it. Especially, I mean, this is still the 90s in a Catholic country. So back then, it would have been even worse, like, for her to come out as like gay, especially like she's meant to be the mother figure, she's meant to be a good Catholic girl, and then she's harboring this secret desire inside her, and maybe the only person she felt confident about talking to about this would have been her father, but now she's lost her father, and she wants someone to tell her what she's thinking and feeling is okay, and this demon is like, yes, totally, I'm going to play on that. as well. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me who read that into it, but I felt there was something there.
I read that those scenes in a very different way, I have to
Ah,
admit. I read them as a longing for a life that should have been hers. At the beginning, we see the other girl singing and trying to, like she was on stage, you know? And I somehow connected that scene with the music we hear when she walks to school with her siblings. So I read it in a way she wants to be a normal girl, going after a music career, because you know in the 90s everyone wanted to be a rock star or something like that, but she can't because she has to care for her siblings. And then the other time we see the other girl with the the mother, I guess. I still think it was like, is she trying to tell us that she miss her mom
yes.
and she would love to have the life of the other girl? So that are we seeing a life that should have been hers if the father was still alive? I read it like
Yeah.
this, but
I think
I
yours is
love your
more.
explanation.
Yours makes more sense, and I definitely can see that as well. I was just like a little bit intrigued by that longing she had, and yeah,
Yeah, I think it helps that in the whole movie we only see one boy when she goes to Rosa, and the boy takes force her to go back inside to the party and leave Veronica alone to her own fate.
yeah,
So I think that that's good. That's a very well done uh, idea, because we don't need boys
no,
in this story. We really don't need boys.
and it
We
all,
just
yeah, we just need it, but it also positions any of the male characters as non-threatening. Any of the main characters, like there's the detective who really literally turns up at the end to kind of go, what is going on here? And then there's the boys at the party, and the boys at the party aren't all like, oh yeah, come and drink and coming on to her like they would do in like a lot of Western films and American things. They're always like, oh, douchebags. They're like, you're being crazy, get out of our house, and I want to and try to protect their like female friends, because they're like, this girl is like just not right, and I don't want her near like my friends. And it's just like, that's good, because then you don't get any threat from the males, so therefore you know very much that the threat is coming from Veronica and the events surrounding Veronica.
I think what's even worse is that the only time we see a threatening male character is the moment in which we see the naked father,
Yeah,
before we realize that's the demon. Because for a moment we are like, why the hell should the father be naked in a 15 years old room?
yeah. It was like, yeah, that was creepy. But then again, yeah, I think that was definitely the demon playing on her own. And it's just like, yeah, the only time there's threatening male visage is when, yeah, you get naked,
Yeah,
demonified father figure.
yeah, yeah. So I really think it's a different way to tell a story. It's a good way to tell a story. And I think if you want to listen to this podcast, you will find out it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And really, you should do it. You should watch the movie if you didn't. And if you want to join us again, hey, we are here.
Yes.
We have to do something
Yeah.
after all.
We like a project.
Yeah,
And
indeed. And we like to share. So,
yes.
hey, if you enjoyed, let us know.
Awesome. Thank you.